All right, so we're going to go ahead and create some particles. I'm going to delete this floor out. I don't like the way that looks. And maybe we'll eventually just add something like this hardwood in the entrance or something that we have here. Overall, you want to try to create like I said before, look up a lot of inspiration, stuff like that for your, just inspiration for your work. All right, so let's start by creating a rain, or sorry, not rain. Maybe we'll make rain. That'd be actually kind of cool. We'll create a fire particle system here. So the way you create particles inside of Unity is you can right click here, and if you go down to effects, you can click on particle system, and it'll generally create it in the same spot where the camera is looking. Now we want to create like a little fire particle in here, and there, what we're going to use is just kind of basic stuff. We're not going to go too detailed or too advanced because this is really just an entry level thing to particles, but you could make some very realistic and beautiful particles. And generally you want to make particles like a fire, whether it's cartoony or realistic, that would match the style of your game. So if we look over into the right hand side here, you can see in the inspector that we have these different properties. Now we have duration, that means how long these are going to last in the lifetime. We have start speed. Now this fire is going very quickly here. So let's just take the start speed and we'll bring it down to 2 maybe. That's a little bit fast. That's maybe 0.5. And we'll adjust it later once we have our, yeah, that looks pretty cool. And you can see it's kind of coming out slowly. Also, move this up a little bit. There's these other parameters down here. Like if you open shape here, you can change it from cone to sphere. We're going to leave it as a cone because we want to control that overall shape. Also, what we might want to do, we would generally create wood in ProBuilder or another digital content tool, but I'm just going to create a capsule here, or sorry, not capsule, a cylinder. And just kind of rotate this a little bit. And these will represent the logs. So that's all I'm doing. Just creating a couple of wood logs. So let's say this is a natural fire instead of a gas. So I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate this. And then we should have something like a gate that blocks this. And but anyway, let's just kind of work on this fire. So I'm going to bring this in here, and we'll adjust the size too. It's really big, and it's going outside the fireplace. All right, so let's go down to shape here, and let's take the radius down a little bit so that it's contained right inside of the fireplace. So something like this. Bring this down. We should also change the start color to maybe orangish red, like that. So we're kind of getting there. And we'll add that light. Remember we talked about adding a point light or a area light to make it have the same color. Let's take our angle in just a little bit as well so that it's more vertical instead of not as spread out. All right, so what we can do to make it not go through our fireplace is look for size over lifetime here. And we click on here, and then in our particle system graph here, we essentially reverse this. So if I bring this up over here, let me see if I bring this down. Actually, I'm in the wrong, let's see. Oh, actually, let's just select this curve here. That'll give us what we're looking for. And then let's see. It's a little bit better, and so we're shrinking them. You can see the size of our particles are going down. You can click on the graph and then it'll add extra nodes like this. So I'm just trying to curve it off so that it sits inside the fireplace. So not too bad. If you're not seeing it play, you can hit the play button here. So that's a little bit better. All right, so the last thing we want to do with this one is game object, light, and then we want to add a area light. Now, if we're going to use this in multiple locations, it might be worth, remember we have this under lighting here, we have auto generate on for generate lighting. Remember to turn that off if it's making your, let's make sure this is also marked as static. And then let's try selecting this area light and making it, let's just eyedrop a little bit of the orange here. And there we go. We're getting it onto the floor. You know, we might have to go with a point light. And the reason why I'm saying that is because say you want to reuse this fire in a different scene. We're going to use this as a prefab. And you don't want to use baking, which I love using baked lighting, especially for the mobile stuff. It won't be as dynamic. So let me delete that. And let me just go in here and do game object, light, and then I'm going to add a point light. And I want to bring this really very down a little like this. And I'm going to make this point light, I'm going to rename it firelight. And I'm going to make it a child of my fire particle system. And then for the firelight, I'm going to do the same thing where I just sort of eyedrop a little bit of the orange there. And wherever I move my fire particle light, you could see it goes with it. Maybe these logs can go with it too. So say you want to make like a campfire. So we'll just name this like log. And then this will also be called log. We'll just select both of these. Now, ordinarily, I don't use my particle effect as my highest level. I'll create an empty game object and I'll parent all of them to that. You know, because you want to really compartmentalize stuff. And the last thing maybe I'll do is, and this is more of an art thing, is part of this thing here. So I'm going to go to Tools, Pro Builder window. And I'm going to create just a plane. And I'm going to actually parent this plane or make it a child of the fireplace. So let's move this up just a little bit like that. And I'm going to hold shift on my fireplace. I'm just going to group those together. So merge objects. And now that's part of my fireplace. And let's go ahead and center pivot on this. So we get something like that. And if you get a little ugliness there, you can reset your UVs. Sometimes if you hit freeze transforms and then center pivot, it'll fix it. Looks like it made it worse. We might have to regroup our UVs a little bit, but it's there. Oh, actually, when I undid it, it fixed it, which is weird. So what I would tend to do too, by the way, is here's my fireplace. In the assets folder, art, models, I start to do things like, here's environment assets, where inside of here, I'll grab my fireplace. I'll drop it in. Here's fireplace 1. I think that's a duplicate. That's in the other room. Where is that at? Yeah, that's there. So let's delete that one out. And then we can grab this fireplace now that has this, it's a prefab. And rotate that. And then put that in this office. And then also inside of art, I'll create a folder called particles. And really inside the prefab folders, you should make a sub one, but I'm just going to throw fire particle system in here. And now we have a prefab of that thing that we created, and then we could just drop it in this room too. And this also needs to be rotated. Oh, that's interesting. I should have froze transforms on it, but if I hit play here, you can see there's our fireplace in there too. Now when we play our game, we should have two fireplaces. So here's one, which is pretty cool. To get a little bit of orange on that character too. Here's another fireplace. You know, maybe there's a desk here and there'll be someone sitting there, you know. All right, I'm thinking what might be really cool is we could, and this could be triggered as we enter the house, maybe rain will start appearing here. And we're going to talk about cameras next week on how to set up cameras that follow our character around. So it's not just this terrible static one that gets stuck on corners of the house. But I'm going to end this fire video here, and then the next one we'll go ahead and create rain, and we'll sort of position that around the house.